Imagine this, a loyalist space marine chapter receives a distress call. An Imperial world's under attack, Vox traffic screaming for Astartes intervention. Coordinates, enemy strange, a simple plea for help. And they answer. War space splits, their fleet tears into reality at the edge of the system, and where the empiric storms fades, there's no tyranny swarm, no Hork horde, no traitor fleet hanging in orbit. There's just a fortress monastery, a bastion built by space marines for space marines. Its void shields are failing, its guns are already silent, and then an Auspex officer goes pale. Because the ships are bombarding their fortress, those are also space marines, no warp taint. Every senior screams loyal, pure, authorized, but their command codes doesn't route to the High Lords, they route to somewhere else, straight to the Inquisition. Those are not crusaders, they are not saviors, they are the executioners of the Imperium. They are the Red Hunters, and their purpose is to hunt their own brothers. Let's talk about the space marines the Imperium unleashes when the Loyalist chapter becomes too dangerous to be allowed to live. So don't forget to subscribe, stay till the end, and tell me your thoughts in the comments. The Red Hunters don't look special at the first glance. Red armor, Inquisition symbols. On paper, they are just another chapter in the endless list of Astartes forces scattered across the galaxy. In practice, they are something very different. Most chapters have a clear chain of command. They answer, at least in theory, to the high lords of Terra. They follow, or pretend to follow, the Codex Astartes. They wage war on traitors, xenos, and demons. The Red Hunters, however, don't really fit in that model. They don't just work with the Inquisition, they are built around them. Their strike force respond directly to the Lord of Inquisition. They act as bodyguards, shock troops, and surgical kill teams. When an Inquisitor decides a problem needs space marines, but can't trust other chapters to obey, these are the Astartes to appear, and that alone is disturbing. Because the Inquisition's job isn't to win wars, their job is to preserve imperial control. They care about secrecy, they care about orthodoxy, they care about making problems disappear before anyone even knows they existed. So you can already see where this is going. If a Space Marine chapter becomes a problem, if they ask the wrong questions, if they witness something that can never be allowed to spread, you don't send a strongly worded letter. You don't send a delegation from the administratum. You send the one chapter whose entire identity is to obedience to the Inquisition. The Red Hunters aren't heroes in shining armors. They are the guns the Imperial keeps pointing at his own head, and here's where it gets properly grimdark. The Red Hunters don't just fight the Emperor's enemy, they fight the Emperor's friends, and when they order to. So how does a loyal chapter end up fighting another loyalist Space Marines? We've seen this pattern before. Think about the Battle War. Chapters like the Lamenters, Executioners, and Mantis Warrior didn't fall to chaos. They didn't just worshipping demons. They just end up on the wrong side of the Imperial politics. Too independent, too stubborn, too willing to side with the wrong lord. And if the hearts they believed they were set with the Emperor, when it was all over, the Imperium said, "Look, honest mistake, have a medal." No, they were punished, sent to a penitent crusade, throughout impossible wars on the Imperium's fringes. The unspoken goals reduce them, bleed them, maybe lose them in the dark. Now, imagine a chapter that does that job, but cleaner. No public penance, no grand civil war like Badab, no decades log scandal that the others chapter whispered about. Just this. An Inquisitor decides a chapter knows too much. One sealed order goes out, and one night a Red Hunter strike force exits the warp in a high orbit. No fanfare, no declaration of intent, just target locks and firing solutions. They hit the defenses with surgical precision, silence the orbital guns, teleport to key strong points, kill the command staff, capture or erase the archives, destroy the ginseng bolts, and then they leave enough wreckage that everyone can point at it and say, "Must have been chaos, terrible shame, nothing to see here." Officially, that chapter died in a glorious battle against the enemies of mankind. Unofficially, they were deleted by Space Marines who still call themselves loyal, which means the Red Hunters might have killed more loyal Astartes than some traitors legions have in 10,000 years. We even see a glimpse of how do they operate. Take Vrax, a nightmare siege war drowned in heresy where the lines between loyal and damned blur day by day. The Inquisition throws everything at it. Dead Corps, Titans, Grey Knights, and yes, the Red Hunters. A whole Red Hunters company is committed. They fight and die on the battlefield so corrupted that reality itself bends. When the dust settles, they're gone. No survivors, no glorious saga carved in stones. Just a casualty static file in some inquisitorial archives that you and I will never see. Officially, they died fighting heretics. But ask yourself, what they trying to clean up on wrecks? What secret did they burn before even other loyalist forces could see them? Which loyal units did they quietly reassign to the grave for witnessing the wrong ritual or wrong relic? That's the pattern. Wherever something forbidden appears, architects that should not exist, Xenos artifacts that bend reality, demon incursions that are a little too organized, the Red Hunters arrive, they do the job, and then they either die or they survive and walk straight to a chapel to have their memories turned out of their skulls. Because here's the next level of horror. They don't just do terrible things, they don't always remember they did them. The Red Hunters fight consistently alongside the Ordo Malleus, the Demon Hunters. That means repeated exposure to the warp, to demonic entities, to the kind of knowledge that can crack even Astartes' mind. Most chapters avoid that at all costs. The Red Hunters march straight into it, over and over again. So the Inquisition has a solution, the MINDWIPE rite. After certain campaigns, after particularly corrupted encounters, the Red Hunters undergo sanctioned memory erasure. Full battles, gone. Entire crusades, gone. Comrades they watch die, wiped from their minds like corrupted data. On one level, it's for their protection. If you don't remember the demon's true name, you can't really be tempted. If you don't recall the forbidden secret you heard in the warp, you can't spread them. But think about what it does to you. You are a space marine. You live for oaths, for memories, for the saga of your deeds. Glory is recorded on your armor, your soul, and your gene seed. And for the Red Hunters, so many of those victories, those horrors, those choices are just missing. You remember embarking on a mission with your battle brothers, a briefing about Demon World, and then nothing. A chaplain stands before you and they tell you that you serve with distinction, but you just don't remember. You look around and realize there are fewer brothers in the chamber than there should be. Names rise to your lips and vanish. You can't remember their faces. You can't remember how you survived them when they didn't, and then you've been told to redeploy, because there is always another war. Winning battles you're never allowed to remember. It is a really polite way of saying you are not a hero, you are just a reusable weapon. So, what does all of this tell us about the Imperium? It tells us that the High Lords of the Inquisition are more afraid of loyal space marines than they are of most Xenos races. Trade religions, you know where you stand with them. They are the enemy. You point every gun at them and pull the trigger. By a loyalist chapter, they swear the same oaths, they venerate the same emperor, they fight the same wars, and yet, if they start thinking for themselves, if they interpret their duty different, if they decide that maybe the Inquisition does not get the final word, suddenly, they are the enemies as well. You can't have demigods with starship and bolt guns deciding for themselves what the will of the Emperor really say. So you build a failsafe. You build a chapter that worships obedience more than glory. You train them that their memories, their individuality, their past is all optional. If the Red Hunters exist, it means this. The Imperium expects its own defenders to become a problem, and he already has a solution for it. And here's the really chilling thought. We only know the Red Hunters exist because occasionally the Inquisition lets their shadow cross the stage. So what I mean, a line in a campaign book, a mention in a Warzone report, a hint that some Astartes arrived, did something unpleasant, and then vanished. And if this is what splits through the cracks of the public lore, what we don't know. How many chapters died to so-called orc invasion that were suspiciously fast and suspiciously throughout? How many fortress monasteries were lost to warp stones after being visited by an unnamed red armored space marines? How many inquisitors have their own pet Astartes force like this? The Red Hunters are a glimpse over the Imperial thinking. This is an empire so paranoid that it doesn't just pretend to fight his enemy, it prepares to kill his own angels, and then forget about it. So the next time you're reading about a loyalist chapter that vanished, a crusade that ended in a mysterious disaster, or a war that got quietly brushed under the administrative mountains of paperwork, ask yourself, was there really bad luck? Really chaos? Really Xenos? Or somewhere in the background, did the red armored warriors answer a call and then no one else was allowed to hear? A sealed order, a single line. Threat, Loyalists Astartes. Status, compromised. Response, Red Hunters deployed. And then one day, another fortress monastery burns in the night. Another chapter's name is crossed out of records, and the only witness who knew the truth had it carved out of their minds, and that's the Red Hunters, space marines owned by the Inquisition, sent to hunt their own brothers. If you enjoyed this and want more messed up Warhammer lore, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.